In the early morning of a summer day in 845 in the Tang Dynasty, the Chinese monks of Nanshan Temple in Wutai Mountain got up and began to recite scriptures as usual, accompanied by the toll of the morning bell. Another peaceful and tranquil day had begun. That same day, the emperor in Chang'an issued a famous edict that started a large-scale movement against Buddhism in China. The monks at Nanshan Temple could never have expected that this attack on Buddhism would secure a place for their small temple in history. This is the Grand Hall of Nanshan Temple in Mount Wutai, the oldest wood-structured building in China. In 845, the rulers of the Tang Dynasty destroyed almost all Buddhist temples in China in a thorough movement to wipe out Buddhism. However, the small temple in off-the-way Wutai County survived. This 1,200-year-old temple is a rare architectural treasure from the Tang Dynasty. It is a small hall, just over 11 meters wide and about 9 meters long. However, walking slowly in the hall, visitors will find this exquisite building is very dignified and spacious, displaying the great prosperity of the Tang Dynasty over 1,000 years ago. The roof of the Grand Hall of Nanshan has a gentle slope, and its beautiful curves display the unique creativity of ancient Chinese architecture. The eaves stretching out of the walls are typical of the architectural style of the Tang Dynasty. The ceramic ornaments at either end of the roof ridge are ancient, rare, and mysterious. The basic elements of Chinese architecture, such as dogong and curved roofs, are quite mature. The wind bells on the eave corners are used to check the weather. When the wind blows, the bells ring, informing people in the house that it might rain. In ancient China, farmers lived at the mercy of the weather. It was very important for farmers to know the weather as early as possible. Hence, the wind bells have hung on the eaves for more than 1,000 years. They are the most eye-catching marks of Eastern architectural art. The wind bells move back and forth in the breeze, creating melodious sounds. Bells send out different timbres and notes that mingle with each other and give vitality to the building. With each ring, ancient Chinese architecture can be seen and heard. Distant tower bells not only sing the melodies of Chinese traditional architecture art, but have also witnessed numerous ups and downs over the past 1,000 years. Foguang Temple in Mount Wutai has been preserved another way. In 846, the emperor who advocated the abolishment of Buddhism passed away. The new emperor immediately restored Buddhism throughout the country, and a large number of Buddhist temples were renovated. Foguang Temple is a large structure in Mount Wutai. Due to its great influence and high reputation, it was renovated in 857. The temple's elegant and enduring East Hall has stood strong for 1,100 years and through many earthquakes. It is an outstanding building from the Tang Dynasty.
山西建筑在全国建筑上占着比较重要的地位，它不仅保存了一批古代建筑，而且时代最古的在山西，规模最大的在山西，这结构比较精巧的在山西，发挥民间匠师的优良传统，建造的最精美的建筑也在山西。因此，山西被称为中国古代建筑的宝库。凡研究中国建筑史和中国古代建筑的人都必须来山西，一定要考察一些实物，认识一下建筑的艰难历程和辉煌成就。这个对于认识中国建筑传统来讲是必不可少的。
Across the vast territory of China, there once stood numerous exquisite ancient buildings that were important parts of Chinese civilization. However, as most ancient buildings were built of wood, it was all but impossible to preserve them for a long time. Many were destroyed in natural disasters or war over the years. Now only 5 wooden buildings from the Tang Dynasty remain intact in China. 4 of them are located in Shanxi province, including Nanshan and Foguang temples in Mount Wutai. Thanks to its unique geographical and climatic conditions, Shanxi is suitable for preserving wood structure buildings and is home to the most ancient buildings in China. There are 450 wood structure buildings constructed before the Yuan dynasty in Shanxi, accounting for more than 70% of such buildings nationwide. Ancient temples, palaces, towers, pavilions, pagodas, grottos, houses, and city walls are spread all over the province. Hence, Shanxi is called a museum of ancient Chinese architecture. In Shanxi, there are architectural traces of every ancient dynasty and era. The ancient buildings in Shanxi province are chronicles of the development of Chinese architecture. The 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period lasted only 50 years and was frequently marred by war. As a result, few temples and cultural relics from that time are left. A rare exception is Wanfo Temple, which has been preserved to today. The temple has characteristics of Tang architecture, predicting the splendid and complicated architectural style of the Song dynasty. About 170 years after the renovation of Foguang Temple in Wutai Mountain, the Hall of the Holy Mother in the Jin Shrine was constructed. It marked another new epoch in Shanxi, the transition of Chinese architecture art from the Tang to the Song. What makes the Hall of the Holy Mother unique is that it was the first building to use the pillar reduction method. By omitting 12 pillars, the hall is given a spacious feeling. Chinese-style wooden structures use pillars to support their roofs. The creative design of this hall by Song Dynasty artisans greatly enriched the practical and expressive functions of wood-structured architecture. It is truly a masterpiece. It is worthy of note that during recent renovations, experts discovered that the foundations of the 48 pillars of the Hall of the Holy Mother were not consolidated at all, as if the whole building was just placed on the mountain. However, the hall has stood steady for over 1,000 years. In earthquakes, the hall could move along with the ground, preventing the structure from collapsing. It is a live structure. The fascinating design is of great significance to modern architects. The Hall of the Holy Mother contains fine statues of young maids sculpted in the Song dynasty. Walking out of the hall, visitors can appreciate an unusual ancient structure, the flying beams over Fish Pond. The pond is full of fish, hence it is named Fish Pond. The flying beams over Fish Pond is actually a cross-shaped bridge in front of the Hall of the Holy Mother. From east to west, the bridge is 19.6 meters long and 5 meters wide, and links the Great Hall with the Hall of the Holy Mother. From south to west, it measures 19.6 meters long and 3.8 meters wide, and slants to the right and left. The bridge heads at the ends look like large birds with open wings, so they are called flying beams. Such cross-shaped bridges can only be seen in ancient paintings. The flying beams over Fish Pond in the Jin Shrine is the only such bridge in the world. Some people believe it is the earliest model of the modern flyover.
这个桥特殊，在现在来看，建在圣母殿就主殿的前面，它东西是平的，东西平坦，南北下斜如一，南北往下斜就好像塌了下去的两个翅膀。前边圣母殿好像它的头首，后边显殿那边好像它的尾部，所以它整个造型啊，就是东西平坦，南北下斜如一，好像在与展翅要飞的一个鸟似的，这样一种建筑形式，十字形板桥。这个桥梁的形式，用过去梁思成先生的话说，偶尔于古画中发现，它是一种园林建筑艺术，建筑群当中的建筑艺术。或者说是一种人们游览的小型曲形桥梁，不是大型桥梁。但这个桥梁的建设是很不容易的。我们现在见到的梁先生当年说到的，偶尔于古画中发现，在什么古画中发现？在敦煌的壁画上，敦煌唐代壁画上，在殿堂前边平台上或平台与平台交接处。用这种插在水里边的八角形柱子，上边有勾栏建成平台。这个只是在绘画上见到，实物上没有见到。全国保存下来的实物，尤其是在宋金时期保存下来的平台型的建筑，石瓷板桥，全国仅此一例。
After the Tang and Song dynasties, Chinese architectural art became increasingly complicated. Artisans pushed to create new, diverse designs. The Copper Hall in Daxiantong Temple on Mount Wutai is proof of the excellent skills of Chinese artisans. Legend has it that in the Ming Dynasty, eminent monk Miao Feng passed Mount Emei to pay homage to the Bodhisattva of universal benevolence. When he saw the hall had burnt down and the statue of the Bodhisattva was exposed to the wind and rain, Master Miao Feng was so sad that he set his mind on building an eternal hall for the Buddha. He went out and begged alms everywhere. After he collected enough money, he had a copper hall built for the Bodhisattva of universal benevolence. Soon afterward, Master Miao Feng had a dream about the Bodhisattva of wisdom. After he woke up, he thought it was not fair to have a copper hall only for the Bodhisattva of universal benevolence and not for the Bodhisattva of wisdom. Later, he tried all kinds of ways to get another copper hall built. The result is the Copper Hall in Daxiantong Hall on Mount Wutai, which weighs 50,000 kilograms and is a rare and precious work of art. The Copper Hall has 2 stories, but only 1 story inside. The walls are covered with 10,000 exquisite copper Buddha statues, each bearing a different facial expression. In the center is a statue of the Bodhisattva of Wisdom riding a lion. The Copper Hall is well arranged and meticulously carved, reflecting the high craftsmanship of the artisans of the Ming Dynasty. The appearance of pavilions and towers can be traced back to ancient China at the same time that temples and halls started going up. Wanrong County is home to the Flying Cloud Tower. A local saying goes, Wanrong County has the Flying Cloud Tower, and half of the tower is in heaven. This is meant to describe how tall and magnificent the tower is, but it actually stands only 22 meters high. Why would people say half of a 22-meter tower is in heaven? This is a result of the clever design of the brilliant artisans of Shanxi province. The exterior of the tower is very intricate, as each corner of the 2nd and 3rd stories has 3 eave corners shaped like birds with open wings. The tower has many eave corners. The eaves, layer upon layer, stretch out of the building and are upturned like birds ready to fly, leading viewers to look towards the sky. The shape of the tower gives people a false impression that it is very tall. The interior of the tower is also very unusual. All the dogong, or brackets, are upturned, forming a grid-like structure with square pillars. Beams and hardwood strips are placed in a grid pattern. All the bracket sets under the eaves are precise, exquisite, and layered upon each other, different from the structure and shape of the rest of the tower. When the top of the tower is enveloped by clouds and mist, it seems that the upturned eaves move with the clouds. As wind chimes ring out, people will feel as if they are mounting the clouds and riding the mist. The Autumn Wind Tower has not been as lucky as the Flying Cloud Tower. It has experienced many ups and downs, along with changes in the course of the Yellow River. Located in the rear of Hotu Shrine, the oldest shrine in China, the Autumn Wind Tower sits on a high and large base. The large base has a gateway, indicating that it has been a communications hub since ancient times. The tower is tall, magnificent, ancient, and powerful, showing the simple and grand architectural style of the Han Dynasty. At the top of the tower stands a stone tablet inscribed with the famous poem Song of Autumn Wind, the source of the tower's name, written by a Han emperor on his way to sacrificial rites. The autumn wind rises and white clouds fly. When leaves turn yellow, wild geese head for the southern sky. Orchids and chrysanthemums still sweeten the air. Oh, how can I forget my lady sweet and fair? I go aboard a barge to cross the river long. It reaches midstream when I see the waves rising white. The flutes and drums keep time to the rower's song, but sorrow comes when pleasure reaches its height. How long will youth endure when old age is in sight? The poem describes a sad and beautiful scene. Seeing the yellow leaves and wild geese flying south, the emperor could not but sigh over the brevity of life. The profound accumulation of history and culture in the form of architecture has passed down from generation to generation and reflects the sadness and splendor of ages past. Each brick of the Bianjing Tower in Daishan County tells a historical story of how generals fought bloody battles to defend the country in ancient times. Bianjing Tower, also known as the Drum Tower, is huge and magnificent, stretching 45 meters east to west, 39 meters north to south, and 35 meters high. On its base, there are buttresses like those on city walls. The strategic Yanmen Pass of the Great Wall is located in Daishan County. In ancient China, battles frequently erupted here. From the tower, generals used to observe their enemies and send troops to fight against invaders and defend the frontier. Of the many famous generals in China's history, Guan Yu of the Three Kingdoms period is the most famous. The Chinese people respect him, and emperors of ages past conferred a title of nobility on him. Temples to Guan Yu can be found all over the country. The Spring and Autumn Tower is as magnificent and forbidding as the imperial residence. The Spring and Autumn Tower represents an astonishing breakthrough in architectural art. Thanks to artisans' precise calculations and clever design, the covered corridor on the second floor looks as if it is hanging in the air. Xuansheng Tower is another excellent example. The tower stands in front of Sanjie Temple, where Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei swore brotherhood in the Three Kingdoms period. Appreciated from different angles, the tower has different uses. It is the gate of the Sanjie Temple, an overhead building projection spanning a lane, and a stage in the temple for performing operas. Exquisite and well-designed, this tower is both magnificent and practical.
这个楼阁建筑在结构上蹊跷，外边是四方的，里边看是长方的，到正面看是西台宽面的。这样的楼阁结架是非常不容易，但是宣石楼结架非常巧妙，就不同角度是不同的形状。里面看完全是西台，正面看完全是过街楼，完全是这个门楼。南北看完全是过街楼，把三个不同的建筑交织在一起，就和北京故宫的角楼一样，在每面看形象不太相同。它这个也是这样一座建筑，而且庞大的很，比北京故宫的角楼要大的很，要高达近30米。这样的高大建筑结构如此精巧，在楼阁式建筑上不失为一位结构上的奇例。所以陈明达是一位建筑学家，在40多年前，1954年勘察的时候就得出这样结论：宣石楼虽然是清代建筑，在中国楼阁式建筑当中，如此结构蹊跷的实例实在不多，不失为有价值的中国楼阁式建筑当中的杰出作品。
Compared with halls, towers are much taller. However, highly skilled artisans in Shanxi managed to overcome great difficulties to create the unrivaled hanging monastery at Hengshan Mountain. The temple contains more than 40 halls and rooms scattered halfway up the mountain on a cliff face. A folk rhyme says, "The hanging monastery is hung by 3 horsetails in the air." As a matter of fact, the whole temple was built on piles driven into the cliff face. These long and thin pillars do not support the building at all, but create a breathtaking sight. The builders of the Hanging Monastery count as geniuses in the history of ancient Chinese architecture. They made good use of the natural cliffs and built the temple against the mountain. Half of the temple is hidden among cliffs, with precipitous rocks above and huge rock walls on both sides. When it rains, water falls directly to the bottom of the valley, and when the wind blows, the rock walls on both sides serve as natural screens. Tianfeng Mountain, the main peak of Hengshan Mountain, blocks sunlight for the temple. Thus, the Hanging Monastery has been safe from damage from wind, rain, and the sun. Thanks to its outstanding design, the Hanging Monastery has stood for more than 1,400 years, representing the height of China's architectural art to the world. The breathtaking Hanging Monastery at Hengshan Mountain is very valuable to modern people for researching and understanding ancient Chinese architecture. Traditional Chinese architectural art emphasizes the beautiful shape of a single structure, the excellent arrangement and charm of a complex of buildings, as well as the perfect combination of architecture and man, and architecture and nature. The gentle sound of the bells in the Hanging Monastery reverberates through the valley. It is a sign and a smile from the diligent and talented artisans of Shanxi Province. Though no one knows their names now, their spirits and their uncanny workmanship will live forever in the Hanging Monastery.